Hi everyone, so today I wanted to make a video about why I don't use seasonal color analysis with my clients and basically my issue with the seasonal approach. And so I haven't talked about this in quite a long time on this channel, but I thought it was time to make another video on this because there is a lot of talk about the seasonal approach. And so if you are completely new here, I am Miriam Amani. I am a beauty consultant. I developed the color analysis system called Artistic License, and I have been working on that for over a decade now. And I've had the opportunity to work with thousands of clients, and this is sort of what I've learned from my experience. So before I get into this, because I know that this is something that a lot of people may not want to hear, may not like hearing, because seasonal color analysis is very popular. I will say that this has not much to do with the color analysts who use the seasonal approach. I really think that we should separate the color analyst from the approach as much as we can, because I do think that if someone is very excellent at their job, and I've seen it, I've seen people who are very excellent at what they do and they use seasonal color analysis and they just come up with the right colors anyway, even though the approach, in my opinion, is incredibly flawed. Okay, so this is what happens is when someone is truly excellent at what they do, they will find you your colors with pixie unicorn system. It doesn't matter. Okay, but the reality is that the seasonal approach is very limited, and it's limited precisely because of the history of how it was developed. And so historically, the seasonal approach was developed for primarily an area of the world that was primarily people who appear to be white. Okay, so that's basically the best way that I can say this. And you can even see the cultural significance of this even in the naming of the seasons. Okay, so we have winter, we have summer, we have spring, we have autumn. Now, look, I was born in a country that is primarily the Sahara Desert. So, I don't know, we don't really have winter in the same way that other parts of the world have winter. Now, of course, that's an analogy, and that's an analogy for the seasonal approach really being for a specific group of people, and how it really originally did not include the diversity of the world. Obviously, it's an analogy, but I think that in the naming convention even itself, you can really see the history of the seasonal approach, okay? And so that's really my main issue with it, and I think that that's why it fails to work for a lot of people. It really does. Now, some people can have really good success with it, but in terms of the diversity of the world, in terms of people from all over the world, no, it doesn't fit people from all over the world. Now, there have been recent attempts, which have been very well intentioned, to expand the seasonal approach to include more people, a larger diversity of people. Now, I think, again, these are well intentioned. I think that that's an excellent thing to do, to include everybody and to try to include everybody in every approach. And I think that that's a good thing to do. And not only is it a good thing to do, it is an accurate thing to do. When I was developing Artistic License, I was adamant that this system has to describe everyone, because if it doesn't describe everyone, it's not a color analysis system. Okay, that's how I see it. Okay, that's how I see it. I don't see it as a legitimate system if it doesn't actually have a full understanding of all of the colorations that exist. And it's really developed into, something that is a lot more than maybe even a system. I think it's developed into more of a color method, if you will. There are steps that I take to get someone's best colors, and roughly the steps are I look at their skin tone, their skin undertone, their skin depth, and whether or not they lean rosy or olive, which the seasonal approach also doesn't really have much on that. And it often, some things in terms of the seasonal approach, they can sometimes conflate olive and rosy with cool and warm, and they are completely two different things, two different axes. They don't relate. You can be cool and olive, you could be warm and olive, you could be cool and rosy, you could be warm and like rosy, which would really look peachy. But anyway, let's stay on topic. And so what has happened, okay? What has happened is that these good intentions to expand the seasonal approach have basically done this. So imagine this is the entire population of the world. We have like this entire screen is the population of the world. The seasonal approach has been developed for this subset of people, like over here, okay? And so that's, again, I don't hold anything against the people who developed the seasonal approach. I think they did it with love. I think they did it with care for their clients. And I think that their client base was just very limited because of the area that they lived in. You know, they were not living in 2024. They were not living in 2014, where, you know, like me, I had so much access to clients from all over the world, and they didn't have that access. So I don't hold it against them. But the reality still stands that, you know, we have the seasonal approach, which kind of originally was describing just people here. That was the original thing. They were just describing a small subset of people. And to expand this system, now imagine, remember, this is the rest of the world. We're going to take, what has happened is we have like additional seasons now that are kind of put in between all of the other seasons. So we're going to take all of these people, whoa, the monster, and we're going to try to insert them into this little tiny box, okay? Or circle. It's usually drawn like a circle, okay? Into this little tiny circle, and we're going to keep trying to put them. I don't think so, you guys. I don't think that's going to work. I don't think that works. And it doesn't work. And I've seen it. It doesn't work, okay? Now, again, for some people it works, for some people it doesn't. But to me, a good approach, a good system, a good method for color analysis is one that works, that is, like in the ideal case, works every time. Now, you know, anybody can, you know, have some sort of thing that may make them look like something else or whatever. That's one thing, okay? But in the ideal case, the approach itself should work for everyone, okay? And so that's my main problem with seasonal color analysis. And I think that there are a lot of other things that I've always not necessarily, they haven't really been to my taste. That's my main issue. And I think that that's the fundamental issue that seasonal color analysis has, you know, is this limited system that is now trying to be expanded, but it's all just kind of being bunched into this small subset of a way to see color. The other thing, you know, some small things that I have with the seasonal approach is I don't like any color analysis approach that is going to give you every color under the sun in your color palettes. Now, I don't think I have to tell you this. If you are familiar with the seasonal approach, you are going to realize quickly when you are looking at the color palettes, sometimes there's every color under the sun. There is no one person. I've seen some color palettes, you guys. There is not one person on this earth who will look good in all of those colors. And I don't mean that, well, some colors on your color palette are going to be just okay. Like, that's understandable, which, by the way, it's not that understandable in my opinion, okay? But if a color palette really has someone's worst and best colors on it, I think that's too broad. You know, and I think, again, the intentions behind that are good in that they don't want for people to feel limited with their color choices. The people who make these color palettes, they want to help their clients feel that they can wear a lot of colors. But sometimes that's just not the case. The reality is that a lot of us really just have a few best colors, a few good colors, a few okay colors, and a few bad colors, you know? It's really not that you can wear every color under the sun. It's not that you can wear, you know, some people don't have a yellow. Some people don't have a yellow. I don't have a yellow. There's no yellow on earth that looks good on me. And the yellow that looks best on me is the yellow that's the least yellow ever, which is chiffon yellow, which still looks really bad on me, okay? So yeah, so that's one of my other things with all of the color palettes. And I do wonder sometimes, these color palettes that include everything under the sun, I do wonder if it's because, going back to the fundamentals, where the fundamental system, the fundamental approach is actually kind of limited. And so as we include more people, we start to think that there are more colors associated with each like subcategory than there actually are, and then we're just adding more and more on top of this system, and we're really overloading it for something that it was really never built to do. And so that's where all of those colors come in. That's where all of these concepts come in that I've discussed on my channel before, like this idea of like overtone and undertone, and thinking that the undertone is underneath this. Like there's a lot of stuff that comes with sometimes with the seasonal approach, but not only with the seasonal approach. The things that I've described can happen with a lot of different approaches as well. You know, having too many colors, or describing the skin in a way that is not necessarily intuitive. I think that can happen to a lot of approaches, but I've seen that happen with the seasonal approach as well. But yeah, I think it doesn't make sense, you know, to do that. You know, it doesn't make sense to try to expand it to such a large group of people when, you know, which is the rest of the world, which is actually not what it was really meant for. And that's why it can, if you've ever been feeling left out from the seasonal approach, that's probably why. The seasonal approach doesn't really have, in my opinion, a full and good treatment of olive skin, doesn't have a full and good treatment even of redheads, which are not even really completely exotic to the part of the world where the seasonal approach was created. It doesn't have a good treatment of deep skin tones. Again, in my experience, it doesn't seem to have very good treatment of that. And what I found is that at the end of the day, there are, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, there are as many color types as there are people. And the way that I've designed Artistic License is to start out with, you know, to do a sort of a stepwise approach and to build your colors up. You know, figure out if you're cool or warm, figure out if you're muted or bright, figure out if you are high contrast or low contrast. And so as you're building your color palette, you're gonna, well, or if you're my client, as I'm building your color palette, you're going to come up with a color palette that's very customized to you. And since Artistic License is so flexible, because it has to be, you know, it can really accommodate the entire diversity of the world. And I've seen it work that way. I've seen it work to accommodate the entire diversity. I built it with that in mind. And yeah, and you know, I have nothing against using other approaches in my work with my clients. As you guys know, I've used other approaches before in terms of like body typing, but in terms of color typing, I have always been using Artistic License. You know, I've been developing it, I've been using it, and because I've really found that the seasonal approach is very much lacking. Okay, it's very limited. So that's it, you guys. If you are interested in getting any services from me, a color typing from me, a full report from me, a body typing from me, then I'll leave those links down below. So if you are very much interested in getting the full complete picture of your look, I would recommend going for the full report, because the full report will also talk about how your lines and how your facial bone structure and your facial shapes and your facial features affect your coloring and your color recommendations. Now, I do talk about that a little bit in my color consult in the color typing alone, but the full report, if you really want something that is going to bring it all together and take it to the next level, sort of, that's going to be the full report. But I'm never going to leave you with the wrong colors, okay? In the color typing, if your body type really does affect your color recommendations a lot, I will mention it, and I will not just send you off with an incomplete understanding of your colors, okay? So yeah, if you're interested, you can purchase the color typing, or you can purchase the full report, which is going to include everything and a more in-depth look at your overall look. So that is it, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts, and yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for staying until the end. I really appreciate it, and I will talk to you next time. Okay, bye.